Everyone has a sefer. So like we did last week, the second day that we learned these halachas, we started off with reviewing. And last time I mentioned the importance of reviewing is because once there's an information overload, it's very hard to process. Once some time passes, the information slowly sinks in. Especially if you review it again, it becomes much more fresh and much more practical. So, anyone remember what we're learning? Washing your hands, that's right, before the meal. So, Mitzvah Shem, before we finish today, hopefully, at the end of this chapter, chapter 40, Perek Mem, we're going to do a few halachas in regards to washing when you eat something which is not bread. However, it was dipped in water or any other mashka. There are halachas to how to wash, when to wash, if you have to wash. Okay. So if somebody wants to eat a Danish, do you wash until Sudan for that? Sorry? Oh, that's actually, the truth is it depends, yes. If you're having a little Danish, which on the package it says mazainus, and it's really mazainus, do you have to wash your hands for it or no? Oh, sorry?
Wouldn't it depend if it's your actual meal?
Excellent. This is 100% correct. And then we're going to be covering those halachas also. But let's say you're going to have Cheerios, which is for sure, you're not eating a meal over Cheerios. Do you have to wash your hands beforehand or no? The answer is no. So 40. I recommend. So, because over here, the first halacha is somebody wants to eat bread. Now, as mentioned, there are things which are not bread that one still has to wash for. But if you're just having something which is mazainus, you're not having a meal with it, such a thing does not require netilas yadayim. Those halachas are actually very complicated. But if it's for sure something which you do not have to wash for, that you don't have to make a bracha hamaitzi for, you do not have to wash. But specifically over here, we're dealing with halachas of bread. Can you go to the sink and wash your hands for the meal? Is this allowed? Can you go, instead of washing with a vessel, can I just go to the sink, wash 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3? Would that be allowed? Sorry? Correct. Oh, very good. Oh, so you need an actual vessel. You have to take a keli and then wash from the vessel. Yeah. Do you have to cover when you wash and you pour it over the hand, do you have to cover the entire hand in one pour, or can I do it 1, 2, 3 for one time, meaning one pour, exactly. In one pour, you have to cover the entire hand, inside of the fingers, the entire hand has to be covered in one pour. How do you make a bracha? What do? Oh, correct. You have the water in the shafshef, you rub your hands together because it's still part of the washing, and you recite the bracha. Who remembers the bracha? This is an easy one. That's right. So, as mentioned before, 2 times is the bare minimum amount. However, the minimum is that we wash 1, 2, 3, not 2 times, we do it 3 times on the right hand and then 3 times on the left hand. Also, it's brought down that before you eat, it says over here, that you have to dry your hands. You have to make sure your hands are completely dry before you touch the bread. Now, what happens if before you dried your hands, you touched by accident with the hand that you did not wash yet, you touched the hand which is still wet, it was just washed, or somebody else, your friend, touch the hand that was just washed before you dried it. What's the halacha? You have to dry your hand and wash again. Very good. Yeah, you have to dry it and wash again. Exactly. Okay. Now, let's say you went to the park and by accident you don't have a soda bottle, you don't have a cup, you don't have anything. What are your options? Potentially. Oh, so you need a keli. Oh, very good. That we're going to get to. Correct. Oh, so yes, that's connected to what she said. But somebody said over here, let's say you have a lake. What do you do if you have a lake? You would dip your hand into the lake up until here 3 times, then the same thing on the left hand 3 times until your wrist. Correct. The park. Oh, very good. Okay, so the park. Don't forget your soda bottle. So the park is the truth is with today's parks, it's much easier because it's important to carry something a cup with you because most parks today have a water fountain. So you're never really going to be stuck. It's important to carry a cup with you, something. You'll always have water in the water fountain and you'll be able to wash properly and make the proper bracha. Now, let's say it's the winter time. The lake is frozen and you don't have the option of a lake and you don't have a cup, but there's snow. Is this a possibility? Oh, there's a few conditions. Correct. So this is only to be used b'shas chak if somebody's very hungry. Somebody's very hungry, or somebody's not feeling well, somebody's a chaylish in the sakana, whatever it is. What you can do is it has to be a large amount of snow. It can't just be a little pile. You should put your hands in beforehand so it should melt a little bit. You'll dry your hands to make sure it's 100% dry. And then 1, 2, 3, same thing, 1, 2, 3, and make a bracha. Again, this is only to be used if there's really no other choice. Okay, what happens if you open your faucet, you run the water and the water's brown, or the water is blue? Usually it's not going to be blue, but let's say for some reason the reservoir is giving out green water. Whatever it is, it's not regular. It's not the regular color of water. What would be the halacha? Can you use it? Oh, so if the change of color happened because of the water itself, that would be okay. However, if something else was mixed into it, which that's usually the case, usually when you run the tap water and it's not the regular color, usually it's not because it changed. Rather, they're doing construction, whatever it is. So what you should do, you should wait until that passes and the water goes back to its original form. If somebody prepared the vessel that you're going to use and they put their hand in the water, is it still okay to use? You prepared your cart, you prepared the cup, and by accident you put your hand into the water. Is this water still okay to use? Sorry? Yeah, the halacha is it's still okay. You can still use it. What happens if you put it down and the dog ran to drink from it? Can you still use it? No, you can't use it. You have to scrub it out and use different water. For where it's applicable, what happens if it was your chicken? The halacha is it's okay. This is some people have, you never know. But it's important to know the halacha because this is what Hashem wants. What happens if the water is very, very salty, very, very bitter, very not good water, that even the dog is not going to drink it anymore? can't use it. That's right. It has to be drinkable, proper water. Okay, now this is a very, very practical halacha. Somebody was dyeing their shirt, dyeing something else, whatever their hair, whatever it is, and they got some dye on their hands. What's the halacha? Are you allowed to wash your hands when you have the dye in the hand, or you have to make sure it's completely gone without any trace? Oh, so we'll get that in a second. Oh, very good. Somebody that's not a profession. They're not an uman. They're not a professional in this field. They were doing it for fun. They were doing an activity, and they got some dye on their hands. So, beforehand, it's definitely very important to take everything off. There shouldn't even be any dye left. However, specifically when it comes to color, there's a big difference between paint and dye. Dye has a different category because when you feel, if you have dye in your hand and you feel it, there's absolutely no substance to it. It's called a chazusa ba'alma. It's just a color. There's no mamoshes. There's no substance to it. Therefore, if for whatever reason it's simply impossible, you tried your best, you cannot take it off, that would be okay. On the other hand, if somebody was painting, right? Somebody enjoys painting, and they're doing an activity, whatever it is, and there's some paint that got onto the hand, but when you feel the paint, it's not just you feeling your hand, there's actual substance to it, then you have to take it off. And last time I was asked, what about nail polish, extensions, all of these things? So if the nail polish is complete, there's no cracks in it, that's not a chatzitza. However, if it's cracked, that actually would be a chatzitza. Nail extensions are okay as long as they're whole and complete. Okay, so we mentioned last week about somebody with a profession, somebody who's a sefer, somebody who's a sheikhet, which I don't imagine anyone is going to go into that profession. So by them, they have a special halacha, but even so, it's brought down, they should still clean their hand. Because today, most people are careful about it. Now, somebody who has a ring, do they have to take it off or not? The answer is yes. You have to take off the ring, you wash, you dry your hand, you make the bracha, you dry your hands, you put it back on. What happens if, by accident, when they were washing, they didn't realize they forgot to take it off? What's the halacha? Oh, correct. If it's loose, you can move it around and you see clearly water is able to get into the little space, that's okay. If it's tight, then that should be taken off. Okay, this was mentioned before. If somebody has absolutely no water, they're traveling, at what point is one allowed to wrap their hands or put on gloves or something else and eat? And at what point are they required to wait until they reach the water? Anyone remembers?
I think it's 4 mil water in 1.
Exactly. Yeah. So going forward, if you have a rest stop within 4 mil, which today, the truth is, it's not so simple. Driving in America, there's so many rest stops. You drive, the amount it took somebody to go with a wagon 4 mil, and what you can accomplish with your car, it's not so simple. Even 50 miles, but with a car, if you can do it in whatever amount of time, one should wait. But this is, let's just go with the strict halacha over here, that not with today's day and age. So it's 4 mil going forward, which we said is 0.7 miles for 1 mil, and 1 mil going back. If you're within such a distance, or even better, last week you gave me the example of somebody is flying, right? And for some reason, there's absolutely no water left on the plane, and you're flying to Eretz Yisrael, and you have a long way to go, and there's simply no water, and you're starving, and the only food you have with you is bread, or let's say somebody was physically not doing well, somebody's not well, it's not dangerous, but they're not well, so they put on gloves, or they should cover their hands. They do not make any bracha on the Tzion, obviously, and eat, but this is not to be used. Anytime you're able to get water, you have to for sure wash. If it's absolutely impossible for whatever reason, which again, Baruch Hashem, today's day and age is not so common, one has to wait for water. Now, what happens? Somebody in the middle of the meal, by accident, touched the scalp, or they touched a part of the body which is covered, or they touched their shoe. Can they continue eating? Exactly. Yeah, you have to go wash. You do not make a bracha, you just wash, and that's enough. Okay, now we're going to get to today's. Sure.
If it's the middle of the night, I wake up. So should I go and talk to them, like wake up from bed?
Yeah, 100%.
Without a bracha?
Without a bracha, correct.
1, 2, 3.
Correct. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
And then in the morning I should go like with the
Correct. Yeah.
bracha.
With the bracha, correct, exactly. Sure.
Sorry, I thought the bracha you make on the second time.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, only the second time. Yeah, exactly. Any questions so far? Oh, I forgot to ask one question. What do you do if you only have a picture? Is a picture okay to use?
From the side or from the spout.
Exactly. From the side, so if in the picture and there's a spout, so you can't use the side that has the spout. You know the little piece when you pour the water. So you should use the other side, which is smooth, which is regular. Okay. Any questions? Okay, very good. Now, so until now, we were discussing the halachas of washing for bread. Now, this halacha is actually not so, it's commonly known, however, you won't see it practiced so much. And the reason for that is because there is a big discussion amongst the earlier halachic authorities, when this applies, when it doesn't apply. But it says over here that anybody who has Yiras Shamayim, who has fear of heaven, should be careful with these halachas. So we're holding by the 40th chapter, Perek Mem, the 17th halacha. Yeah, Yud Zayin. Somebody who eats a food, which is you table it, you dip it into a liquid. Or let's say something else happened. You didn't dip it, but your food got wet. So the question is, before we get to the question, so afal pishu einu negeh b'makom hamashka, we call makom tzarich ditel yadav tchila. Rak lo yevarich al netilas yadayim, v'harbe mekilin b'davar zeh, aval kol yiras shamayim yesh lahachim el atzmi. This is a very important halacha. Any food which you dipped in water, okay, we'll see, it's not just water, and any liquid, let's say you're having carrots and you want to dip them in honey for some reason, whatever it is, or you got the carrots wet with regular water, then you didn't actually dip them, but now they're wet from water, and we'll see it's not limited to water, so the halacha is that one should wash the hands before eating it. Any food which is wet, one should wash the hands before eating it. This is called adavar shetibuli b'mashka. And as mentioned, it says right here clearly that you'll see that many people are not careful with this halacha. It is 100% legitimate because there is a big dispute amongst the poskim, and today most people, I have to be honest, are not careful about it. However, it says, Kol Yiras Shamayim, anyone who has fear of heaven, they should be stringent upon themselves to do so. Now, we're going to get to practical examples in just a second. So we mentioned before a food which is dipped into water, but the truth is it's not limited to just water, but anything that has a halachic status of a mashke is included in that. And we'll see now in halacha Yudches, in the 18th halacha, what exactly that includes. Mashkim le'inyan zeh hema shiva. So the liquids which count for this halacha are 7 types of liquids. The Eluhein, yayin, wine, the chein chemitz miyayin, vinegar, which is based from wine, dvash dverim, honey, which comes from bees, shemen zayis, olive oil, chalav, milk, b'chlal zagam mei chalav, extracted milk, tal, which is dew, dam shel behema chai va'if, or blood from an animal, a chicken, a fowl, whatever it is. And of course, the last one is mayim, actual water. Al shar me peres, but other fruits, liquids that come from fruits. Let's say you extract the juice from an apple. Now, this juice got onto your food. You're not required to eat to wash your hands for it. Oh, canned peaches, if it's just extracted from the actual peaches, it's okay. But if it's not, I don't know, my assumption. Okay, so yes, then you have to check the ingredients to see what exactly it's made from. And if it comes from any of these things, if it's just peach juice, it's more common with pineapple. When you buy pineapple in the canned pineapple, it's sitting in its own juice. So that's not water, that's not anything we mentioned, that has a halachic status of meperes, of the juice that comes from the actual fruit, that you're not required to wash for. With peaches, this is very true, that it's not always the case, and you should check the ingredients. Sure. Sorry?
Is there a reason given for this?
Yes, there definitely is. Because once a fruit or anything that has water on it, it is subject to be makabel tuma. It can now become tame. So before eating it, we wash our hands to remove any tuma. However, the reason why many are lenient to this is we say that we're not worried about this. Rather, we wash just for cleanliness. Nikiyas ba'alma. We just wash for cleanliness, which again, both ways are okay. They're 100% valid. But it does say that somebody who has fear of heaven should be careful with this halacha. Now, there's an exception to this rule, and we'll see. It's a very, very big exception, and it has a very big practical outcome. So we're going to go to the 20th halacha chaf. It says that Dvarim shedaken la'achlan b'lei kaf u'mazleg afilu hu eichal lidei kaf u'mazleg tzarech netilas yadayim. Let's say you have something that the regular person eats it without a fork or a spoon, right? Most people eat this thing with their hands. So the truth is there is an exception to this rule. If something, the derech, the regular way to eat it is with a spoon or with a fork, you are actually not required to wash your hands, even according to those that require washing. However, if the normal way for somebody to eat this specific food is without their hands, rather they use a spoon, they use a fork, this is not included in this halacha. And a very, very practical example for this halacha is cereal and milk, right? Cereal and milk, we said earlier, milk is one of the things that one is required to, if the milk gets onto the food, one is required to wash. However, nobody eats cereal and milk with their hands. I hope, right? I don't know if people do. I have never seen such a thing, so I'll assume it's not the case. So therefore, since the regular way to eat cereal and milk is with a spoon, Therefore, one is not required to wash their hands if they're having cereal or milk. Which that's a big thing, because if somebody does take upon himself this halacha, for something like that, they do not have to wash.
I have a question. If you're just preparing food.
If you're just preparing, you don't have to.
wash.
No, same thing with bread. If you're just preparing the bread, you're not actually eating it. Let's say somebody is serving at a party or at a meal, whatever it is, they're not partaking in the eating, they're just preparing. For that, the halacha is one does not have to wash. And the same idea over here, if somebody is stringent in this halacha, if they're just preparing, if they're just touching, they're not eating, that's okay. You do not have to wash. So I just want to summarize this halacha very quickly. There is a halacha that one who wants to eat any food that either it got wet by you dipping it or something spilled onto it and it's still wet, you didn't dry it yet. Even if you're not touching the part which is wet, you're just eating the fruit, whatever it is. The halacha is one should, they do not have to, they should wash their hands. That's the proper thing to do. This is not limited to just water, but the examples that we gave were wine, vinegar, which is wine-based, honey, which comes from bees, olive oil, milk, extracted milk or watered down milk, dew, and believe it or not, blood or water. Now, of course, you can't eat blood, but it's speaking over here, it says, when somebody's eating it, that's the refuah, that's the only thing they can have. So if any of these things got into a food that you want to eat, the most common thing is when you're eating vegetables, you're dipping it into things, then, or it's wet, if you have pickles, right, they're sitting in water, yeah?
Or like a cookie.
Yeah, exactly, a cookie with milk, correct. So these things, the proper thing is to wash. It's not a must, but it's a proper thing. The second aspect of this halacha is it does not apply if what you're eating, the derech, the normal ways to eat it with a fork or a spoon, not with your hand. This halacha does not apply even to those who are careful about it. Okay, so we finished the halachas of washing your hands for a meal. The hardest thing when it comes to learning is to repeat something you already learned. Why? Because it's boring. I already did it. I want to learn something new. Something new is exciting, right? Some new information is always more exciting. You're learning something new that you never knew before. But the truth is, the biggest char, the reward that one gets, is actually not for learning something new. Rather, it's when they work hard and review what they learned. So it's very important. Baruch Hashem, today we have the English book translation for those who need it. For those who don't need it, great. You have the original Hebrew. It's very important to review it because these halachas and any halachas that one learns, they different to other classes. Sometimes you can be learning different subjects. It's for knowledge of Torah. It's for knowing Torah. When it comes to halacha, there's a very special thing about Jewish law, is you take it wherever you go, right? A Jew, wherever they go, they always have to have in mind, as a Jew, what's allowed, what's not allowed, what does Hashem want from me in this specific situation. And even if one doesn't remember the halacha offhand, but at least they know there's something to ask, right? Over here, they know, oh, 1 second, this may be an issue, this may be okay. I don't know, at least you can call to ask, which today, Baruch Hashem, with cell phones, this is very easy to do. But to know that there's a question, you have to know that there's halachas, right? So it's very important, even though we finished these halachas, it's very, very important to review them and to apply them practically. Okay, so now we're going to go to chapter 50. Oh, and Safari, that's right. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And that's right. Today you have books in all. Okay, here they don't have it, but today you have books in all languages. Like you have in Spanish, Russian. I'm sure other languages also that I don't know about. But today, Baruch Hashem, we're very, very lucky. that Torah is available to everyone. You can have it on your phone, on your apps. It's very important to review. And aside from the fact that it's a mitzvah to study Torah, but specifically when it comes to halacha, it actually helps you in your day-to-day life to live your life as a Jew. Okay, so now that we finished with washing the hands for a meal, we're going to touch on a subject which is also related to the meal, but not specifically to the bread. It's in general which brachas one has to make beforehand. In this chapter, we're going to be focusing, the next one is dealing with the bracha afterwards, but over here, we're going to be focusing on the bracha that you make, the proper, appropriate bracha one makes before they actually eat. Okay, so we'll start today with a few halachas, and Mitzvah Shem tomorrow we'll continue. Okay, so everyone has chapter 50. Okay. Perek Nun, Klalim, Bevracha Rishena, Mibirchas Hananin, Ubay Tazayin Seifim. So chapter 50. Perek Nun. So now we're learning the general rules of the bracha one recites before they eat. Birchas Hananin, it's not just eating. We'll see there's other things that are included in Birchas Hananin. Okay. So Aleph, the first halacha. Ksiv la Hashem ha'aretz u'malaya. The pasuk, the Torah tells us that to Hashem is the heaven and the earth, meaning that everything belongs to Hashem. Hashem created it, and it still belongs to Hashem. Shakelhu k'mei hekdesh. That everything has a halachic status of hekdesh, which means it's sanctified to Hashem. Just like if somebody in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, they would be makdish something, they would sanctify is not the right word, but they would just set it aside for hekdesh, for the Eibishter, for the Gvei, for the Beis Hamikdash. The halacha is once something was sanctified, you're not allowed to use it until you redeem it. So the same thing is when it comes to Elam Hazeh, this physical world. Hashem created a world, and the reality is Hashem is still in this world actively, and things that we touch, things that we eat, are still holy. They're like Hekdesh. And just like by Hekdesh, one cannot have Hana, one cannot partake in it until they redeemed it. It's the same thing when it comes to a person's own pleasure. Somebody wants to drink a cup, it's not so simple. You can't just drink it. It belongs to Hashem. So what do? So before that, when the Hanamina Hegdesh, Blekidin Ma'al is an Isser of Me'ilah, just like when somebody, as mentioned, when you sanctify something to the Beis Hamikdash, it's Hegdesh, there's a prohibition of using it for your own needs. And this Isser is called Me'ilah. So Kamekin also vanishes when Elam Hazeh blebracha. So the same exact thing, one cannot partake for their own benefit, for their own enjoyment, without making a bracha first. The bracha hi hapidyon, and the redemption, just like in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, of something that was set aside for the Beis Hamikdash, the same thing of the pidyon, this redemption is the equivalent to that is making a bracha. You bench the Eibishter, you bless Hashem, then you can partake in what you made a blessing on. And somebody who does not make a bracha, he has benefit. One has benefit without making a bracha. It's as if they did me'ilah, they transgressed on using things which belong to Hashem. Now, before you eat, you have to make a bracha, and the halacha is that there is no minimum requirement of how much to eat in order to make the first blessing before eating. After blessing, we'll see in the next chapter, there is a difference. If you had a kazayas, you didn't have a kazayas. But anybody who wants to eat or drink even a little bit is required to make a bracha. Yep, makes sense. Hashem created the world. Everything belongs to Hashem. We want to partake in what belongs to Hashem. We have to make a bracha. We have to thank the Eibishter. We have to thank Hashem for creating this, and then we can partake in it. And especially in earlier chapters, it could be, maybe we'll touch on it, it's very important to have kavanas and brachas. When you make a bracha, you think about Hashem, who you're blessing, that Hashem is the ultimate creator. He's giving us sustenance. Our whole life is thanks to Hashem. And you make a bracha, Baruch atah Hashem, yeah, our God, the King of the world, that everything came to be with Hashem's word. It's a very powerful brachas when we think about it. So it's very important. So that we're not going to touch upon in these halachas, but I want to mention it because we're not mentioning it in the text. That today, especially with an English siddur, it's very, very important. It enhances. You're not just doing a dry act. You're not just saying mumbling words in Hebrew, whatever it is. It's very important on your own time to take an English siddur, to learn the translations, and to think about it. That this is really a chesed from Hashem that I have this. Yeah, you can't take things for granted. There's people in the world that don't have it. And the fact that we do have it, we have to thank Hashem for it, because it's a really big blessing. Okay, so base, the second halakha. Now, before we read this halakha, everyone knows that there's different brachas you make on different things. Things that grow from the ground, directly, not from a tree, you make a beirei pri ha'adama. Things that grow from a tree, it's beirei pri ha'etz. Something which is not bread, but it's made from the fine grains. There's a lot of halachas when it comes to that, but let's keep it simple. The bracha is v'zeinas. Somebody is eating bread, the bracha is hamaitzi. Somebody is drinking wine, the bracha is hagafen, right? There's a lot of halachas. Now, in the second halacha, what happens if somebody made a mistake and they only made a shahakal, but they realized, oh no, this is a piece of bread, and they already ate. So what's the halacha in such a case? That's what we're going to see. Beis, halacha number 2. Afal pisha b'diyavad imta ubeirach shahakal al kol davar afil al pas al hayayin yatsa v'chatchila al shalasis ken. So if somebody accidentally made a bracha shahakal, but the truth is, on this food, the appropriate bracha is not shahakal. Let's say somebody was eating bread, even bread, somebody made a shahakal and they already ate, it's too late, there's nothing they can do. The halacha is that after the fact, they do not make another bracha. They fulfilled their obligation of making a bracha beforehand. However, one is not allowed to do so. Yeah?
If you found it out, would you then switch your after bracha?
Yes. If you found out after, the after bracha stays the same. However, for the first bracha before eating, if one by accident made shahakal, it's okay. After the fact. However, before the fact, before eating, it's very important, which is this is what we're going to be doing now, to learn the appropriate brachas for the appropriate foods. And there's an exception to this rule. So everyone has to learn how to make the proper and appropriate brachas for the food that they're going to be eating. There is an exception to this rule. Two exceptions to this rule. The two exceptions to this rule are, number one, if the food that was brought to you or that you bought, you simply can't figure out what this is. You can't figure out what it is. You have no idea. Right? Somebody brought to you food. You have no idea. Is this a fruit? Is this a vegetable? Is this a fish? For some reason, there's somebody brought you a very exotic thing and you just can't figure out what it is. Which today is very common. You have snacks, whatever it is. It's a real suffix. not so common, but it's very possible that somebody made a whole pachka, the whole dish, and they're not there anymore, and they're the only people that know what they used to make it. So in such a case where you can't find out what it is, the halacha would be you are allowed to make a shahakal. Second exception to the rule is if the paiskim, the halachic decisors from the previous generations, there is the dispute amongst the paiskim what's the proper bracha to make on it. Because if you make a bracha according to one opinion, according to the second opinion, you did not fulfill the obligation. If you make the bracha according to the second opinion, you didn't fulfill the obligation according to the first opinion. So in such a case, a shahakal is permitted. You are allowed to make a shahakal before eating this food. Now, if you're able to eat it in your meal, so you make a hamaitzi, and as we know, once you make a hamaitzi, anything which is coming as a part of the meal, not dessert or not fruits, whatever it is, but it's an actual part of the meal, then it's better to do that than to make a shahakal. And a perfect example of this is when it comes to rice. Rice, there is a dispute amongst the paiskim of what it is. Eiris, deichan, I'm not going to go into that, but rice, there's a machlekes what you make on rice. Is it a mezainis? Is it a shahakal? This is a big discussion. Now the Alter Rebbe writes, there's two options that you have. Somebody, a Yerushalayim, what they should do is they should only eat it when they're having a meal. When they wash, and it's a part of their meal, then you don't have a suffix, because once you make a hamaitzi, it includes all the foods that are coming in the meal, and rice is one of those things. If somebody's hungry, they're not able to, whatever it is, then they could make a shahakal. But this rice is a perfect example of this halacha. The third halacha, hadavar shemavarchin la'achlei l'shtaisei el'ariach by elasas by mitzvah tzarich sheyikach eisei kedem avrach b'yad yeminai v'yichaven eis avrach u'tzarich levarich alav. Why? The halacha is that before somebody eats, before somebody drinks, before if you're taking basamim to smell, or if you're going to do a mitzvah, the proper thing to do is to first hold it in your right hand, to have in mind beforehand, okay, this is water, okay, I'm going to make a bracha shahakal. So to hold it in your hand, to think beforehand which bracha you're making. That way, when you say Hashem's name, you'll know that the kavana is to make, for in this example, a shahakal. Now, v'im loy achsei, but however, let's say I made a shahakal, but I did not lift it, I didn't hold it in my hand, I just had it on the table. If you didn't hold it in your hand, however, it was in front of you, it's right here, you have fulfilled the obligation of making the bracha before eating or drinking. Yeah, okay, we're finished, but let me just translate this halacha that let's say you made the bracha, but it wasn't in front of you. So there's three levels. Number one, to hold it into your hand. If you didn't do that, when it was in front of you at least, it's okay. But if you know that your friend is going to bring you water, but they didn't come yet and the water's not even in front of you, then one would have to make another bracha. Okay?
Then we need to make
Another bracha, yes.